Alright guys, so I've pretty well got it to the shape that I want it to be now. I think I'm just going to part it off at the smallest point right here, here in a little while, once it's finished and everything. But now what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and put another coat of epoxy over this whole thing to seal everything up pretty good. That way I can buff it up and it'll shine up pretty good. I may end up putting 2 coats over it, just kind of depends on how thick it is and how well it works out basically. Alright, so this is how it's looking right now after we put that the latest coat over it to cover up the wood and all these little spots here. It did help to fill in a lot of these holes. It is a self-leveling epoxy, so that's pretty nice. But it's not perfect. On all these spots right here where I put all the shavings and stuff in, some spots are real nice and smooth, and some spots have a couple little high spots. It's just a little bit more textured just around where this wood is. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and sand it down again and then possibly put one more coat over the top of it. If it's still rough after that, we'll probably lightly sand it and end up buffing it out. So that's the game plan for now. Like I said, we're going to hand sand with 120 on these rougher spots and then put it on a low RPM and go ahead and sand the rest of the whole piece and put one more coat in it. Alright guys, so this is where we're at right at the moment. I've put another coat over the outside here. I'm about to put another one on here. I read some information on this type of resin specifically, and they said that if you can reapply another coat after you wait about 3 to 4 hours. That way it's still sticky and you don't have to sand anything or anything like that, and it'll just stick right to it. So we're going to put another coat on here to help fill in any voids and give me a little bit thicker of a layer to be able to sand some of this. The very first layer I had put on here after I had put the super glue and stuff in there, I ended up sanding it down to that super glue, and that the glue that I use is one that I'm not used to, so ended up being a little bit gummy as opposed to the hard setup that I normally get from this other brand that I've been using for a while. So I ended up having to dig some of that out, or actually I cut it off with a razor blade and stuff. So right now we're about to put another coat on here, and we'll let it set for another 3 hours, and we may end up putting one more. I'll just come back and look at it and decide what I'm going to do from there. But that way I can be able to sand it and buff it without going through these layers basically. Alright guys, so we've got our 3 or 4 coats on here. We let dry really good for about, I want to say about 4 days now actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to come through here, and I've got a couple little imperfections I'm going to try and get out, mainly just this one spot right here. That, and I wanted to test out a new set of micro mesh I just got. I've never used that stuff before. I feel like this would be a good project for it. It's pretty nice and shiny like it is, and I could leave it alone, but like I said, I kind of want to try the micro mesh. So let's go ahead and start with that now. I'm going to hit this one spot with 120, and then we're going to go up through the grits over the whole thing, up through all the micro mesh, up to 12,000 I believe. So we're going to go ahead and try it out now. Let's get started. Alright guys, well here's the final product. I hope you enjoyed this week's video and following along with the three different episodes of it. It was actually a lot longer of a process than I anticipated. But anyway, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, leave those down in the comment section below. If you have any ideas for other projects you'd like to see, be sure and put that down there too. And I'll see you next time.